The prosecutor in the case of David Sánchez, the brother of the Prime Minister, lied. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another Precautionary Measures with Miguel Ángel Pérez. As you can see, we're still in Badajoz for the second session of the trial against the brother of the President of the government, David Sánchez. And in this second session of witness statements, there has been an appearance that has definitely been key. The appearance then of a witness who was an orchestra conductor, Cristina de Frutos, who was applying for the position, which was ultimately given to David Sánchez himself, the brother of the President of the government, that position in the Provincial Council of Badajoz as coordinator of conservatories. What did Cristina de Frutos say? Well, in her statement, which has certainly been devastating, what she made clear is that everything was completely rigged, that a colleague of hers, before she went to the interview to apply for the position, told her directly that the job was going to Pedro Sánchez's brother, that at first she didn't want to apply, that they called her the day before from the Provincial Council of Badajoz, and she agreed to go to that interview. And what she saw was that it was all a joke. The interview only lasted 15 minutes. 15 minutes on the clock, they didn't ask her any questions, and shortly after she found out that the position had indeed been given away. Well, none other than David Sánchez. But within the context of this statement by Cristina de Frutos, there was something especially important. Why? Because Cristina de Frutos she already reported directly by email to the prosecutor in the David Sánchez case, whose name is Begoña García, that there had been an irregularity in awarding the position to the brother of the President of the government. She sent an email to this prosecutor, Begoña García, who is the prosecutor sitting in the courtroom at this trial. And what Cristina de Frutos said is that the prosecutor's office has not given reasons to investigate these irregularities, which she had already reported in the email. Today we're going to focus on this story because it's important to say that Cristina de Frutos has repeated that statement she made during the investigation in the trial. And even in this trial, because of what Cristina de Frutos has done, she read in full before the Provincial Court of Badajoz the email in which she made her complaint. Well, that awarding of the position, that rigging, that fix for the brother of the President of the government. And precisely when she read that email, there was a direct reference to David Sánchez in it, stating that the position had been awarded to David Sánchez in an irregular manner. This becomes especially important because it must be said that when Cristina de Frutos, during her statement before the head of the Court of Instruction number 3 of Badajoz, Beatriz Biedma, reported that she had sent that error and that to the prosecutor of the case, and that the prosecutor had neither done nor said anything, then the prosecutor, Begoña García, spoke. And what she said was that in the email that Cristina de Frutos had sent her, there was no direct or explicit reference to David Sánchez. This is exactly what Begoña García said in response to Cristina de Frutos in that statement before Judge Biedma.
If you disagreed with the application terms or thought the decision wasn't based on equal opportunity, why didn't you appeal? It's not that I didn't agree, it's what you just said. No, I said they seemed suspicious to me. You just said the call for applications terms didn't add up for you, not that you disagreed. That they didn't add up for me, well, because, for example, they asked for a university degree, a bachelor's degree, a university degree. Yes, I don't look at the terms of the call for applications, not the terms of the call or anything like that. I'm asking you if you thought it was suspicious, if the terms of the call for applications didn't add up for you, and you were told 2 days before that it could be awarded to a specific person. You show up, they didn't ask you any questions in the interview, and you thought it was settled? It wasn't handled under equal opportunity criteria? I'm asking you, why didn't you appeal? Because for me, it was suspicious the whole time. Especially when the Provincial Council called me the day before saying I was highly rated and asking me to attend. That they wanted to hear about my project. So at that point, I thought, I said, well, anyone can apply, but maybe this is fair and I have a chance. Otherwise, I wouldn't have traveled. So how was it resolved? Did you believe it was resolved in a fair way and that's why you didn't appeal? No, I don't think so. No, you've been asking me about this before. No, I've already told you once that the call was resolved. Did you feel harmed? Yes. Did you feel that the criteria of equal opportunity and merit were not met? Yes. Why didn't you appeal? Well, because I didn't know how, and I also didn't know how the others had done it, what to evaluate. I mean, this information that's coming out now, did you feel harmed? Yes. All right, well, there are appeals both to the administration and to the administrative courts, which are independent from the administration. I didn't dare to do it alone, and then at that time, the representative from Podemos, Alvaro Jaén, got in touch with me. Podemos, okay? A question. You just mentioned an email that was sent to the prosecutor's office. As you can imagine, both the court and the prosecutor's office have received thousands of emails during these times. I'm going to read you the email that you personally sent to me. We couldn't respond. Some officials got it for me, and you just claim harm because you're a well-scoring, qualified candidate for the position. You don't mention at any point, because if you had referred to the fact that this position had previously been awarded to David Sánchez, I would have undoubtedly proposed you as a witness. You didn't mention at any point this fact that you have just now brought up as a result of an interview in a newspaper.
Well, this is indeed what this prosecutor said, and today it has become clear during the trial taking place here at the Provincial Court of Badajoz that indeed the prosecutor lied. The prosecutor lied because what actually happened is that indeed in that email, Cristina de Frutos was directly reporting that there was an irregularity taking place in the awarding of David Sánchez's position. Therefore, Prosecutor Begoña Garcia, when she spoke during that hearing that took place, well, last year, in April 2025, she simply did not tell the truth because there was indeed an explicit reference to David Sánchez. Today, we could say that the statements made in this second official session of the trial have been devastating for the interests of David Sánchez and Pedro Sánchez himself. In the end, let's not kid ourselves, if they gave David Sánchez a job at the Provincial Council, it was because he was the Prime Minister's own brother. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given him a job anywhere, and of course, it must have been by order of Pedro Sánchez himself. Of course, this statement by Cristina de Frutos has been devastating because she has made two things very clear, that the hiring of David Sánchez was rigged, and she laid it out in great detail, right? And secondly, that the prosecutor's office, Pedro Sánchez's prosecutor's office, you know, that phrase from the Prime Minister, who does the prosecutor's office answer to? Exactly. Well, the prosecutor's office didn't want to. They ignored that complaint, which had been filed in an email that was sent directly to the prosecutor in charge of the case. This orchestra conductor, Cristina de Frutos, who only wanted to apply on equal terms for a coordinator position at conservatories in Badajoz. And that, like the rest of the applicants, she was deprived of this opportunity to get that position because the job had already been given to the Prime Minister's brother. Let me also tell you about another piece of information that has come to light in more detail in the last few hours, following a statement yesterday in the trial by the President of Justice of Europe, Luis María Pardo. During his statement yesterday before several witnesses in several interrogations, the President of Justice of Europe denounced and made it clear. He pointed out that several reports from the Central Operational Unit of the Civil Guard, specifically, some annexes that were part of one of these UCO reports included different records that showed that the technicians from the Provincial Council of Badajoz, those responsible for hiring David Sánchez, may have manipulated the records and the scores precisely to award the position to David Sánchez. How did Luis María Pardo present this issue? By referring to those annexes from the UKO report, it became clear that indeed at first, when 11 candidates applied, it was decided that only one was suitable, who, coincidentally, was David Sánchez. However, Podemos, which for once did something right, submitted a request for information to the Provincial Council of Badajoz to clarify the reasons why the position was awarded to David Sánchez. And at that moment is indeed when there was an alleged manipulation of the records. from only one qualified candidate, who was David Sánchez. Out of the 11 applicants, it was expanded to 6 qualified candidates. That is, what they wanted to do at the Provincial Council of Badajoz was to cover up, to disguise the fix they had made with David Sánchez and try to cover it up and say, no, it wasn't just David Sánchez who qualified. There were 6 others, right? It would be too obvious if only David Sánchez met the requirements out of 11 applicants. And these records were found by the Civil Guard Central Operational Unit, and also the scores they gave to David Sánchez, and they even did a copy and paste. And David Sanchez's score, well, it didn't even add up to what it said, the total it claimed. In short, it was a complete joke. But the most important thing today is to make it clear that Pedro Sánchez's prosecutor's office once again lied. They lied to avoid investigating the irregularities in his brother's hiring. That's all for this edition of Precautionary Measures with Miguel Ángel Pérez from Badajoz. Hope you enjoyed the video. If that's the case, you know what to do. Remember to subscribe to the channel, become a member like the chosen ones for less than €3 a month, or like the supreme ones for less than €7 a month. And you can also make your contributions via Bizum at 627-556,275,563, 7627-556,275,563.70. The most important thing, as I always say, is that this information reaches everyone because information is power. See you soon.